Two guys were admiring a supercar parked in front of the Duogene Media office. The two of them then realized that they would never be able to afford such a car in their lifetime. The owner of the car got out, and two women were admiring how handsome he was. The handsome guy was waiting for a certain someone to finish their shift so they could meet up. Gao Wen exited the building and greeted him, calling this meeting a coincidence. She asked what he was doing there, and he answered that he had found out about her job change and wanted to offer to invest if she needed money. He also offered to give her a ride. She replied that there was no need for that, as she had some business to attend to. He offered again to give her a ride to where she needed to go, and afterward, they could have a meal together, but she refused. He thought to himself that he had been her top fan for so long, and now she was rejecting him so easily. He had made a bet with his friends that he would win her affection in less than a month, and now she was refusing him from the start. At that moment, someone arrived on a scooter. It was Xing Wang, who asked Gao Wen if the man was her friend. She introduced him as Zhang Wencheng, her #1 fan, who used to frequently send her gifts during streams. Xing Wang introduced himself as Gao Wen's colleague, but Zhang wasn't interested. Then, the protagonist asked her if she was ready to go, and she said yes. Gao Wen said goodbye to Zhang and left. The big spender was left speechless as the woman he had spent a lot of money on left with another man. The fact that he was rejected in favor of a man who drove an electric scooter annoyed him the most, especially since he had a $3 million car and barely got a glance from her. This was a rare occasion when his girlfriend was away on a business trip, and he couldn't waste any time. So he called another girl and asked if she wanted to have a meal with him, and she agreed immediately. The traffic was a nightmare in the city. Xing Wang mentioned that it was better to drive his scooter at this hour when the roads were congested, and Gao Wen agreed. She then said that the restaurant they were going to eat at was just around the corner. The protagonist commented that the meal they had the other day was kind of boring, people need simple and plain food to be satisfied. They arrived and entered a restaurant that served the best crayfish in the city. They were brought 2 big plates of crayfish, and the protagonist also ordered a plate of noodles. Gao Wen said that she wouldn't wear gloves to eat, and he admired the fact that she knew how to eat. They then cheered for a good partnership and started eating. At that moment, a woman with red hair also entered the restaurant. It was Chu Xinyuo, accompanied by Zhang Wencheng, and she recognized her 2 former colleagues. She then turned toward the playboy and asked to go to another restaurant, but he said that he wanted to eat there. He then also recognized the 2 young people. He realized that Gao Wen had used an excuse to avoid having a meal with him. So he gripped his companion tighter, startling her, and went to grab a table, ignoring the protagonist and Gao Wen, who noticed them. Zhang promised himself that he would start supporting other girls and become someone else's #1 fan. After finding a table to sit at, Xinyuo started thinking that while Gao Wen was holding tight to a rich guy like Xing Wang, she would steal her #1 fan, Zhang Wencheng, who would make sure that her bank account kept growing. At the other table, the previous top streamer asked the protagonist if she should warn Xinyuo that Zhang was a scumbag, and Xing Wang answered that they should respect others' choices in life. She listened to those words but still had her doubts. Xinyuo declared that the crayfish dish smelled very good and offered to peel it for her companion. Zhang agreed and praised her for being such a good girl. After peeling one, she even fed it to him. But then, all of a sudden, someone started screaming at Zhang, asking what he was doing there. He started running away while saying that he didn't know anyone named Zhang Wencheng. But he didn't run fast enough because the older woman managed to catch him. She asked if he had cheated on her while she was on a business trip, and he answered that it was a misunderstanding and that he could explain. He was thinking that his girlfriend, Lin, was an idiot who could be manipulated with a couple of sweet words. She then focused her rage on Xinyuo, asking if she knew that he had a girlfriend. But the streamer was more worried about being humiliated in front of Gao Wen. Lin then stated that she had bought him cars, watches, and houses and even given him an allowance. How dare he cheat on her? He answered that he could explain everything and that, actually, he was the victim in this situation because this woman had forced herself onto him. Lin slapped Xinyuo, stating that she must be tired of living, having the courage to try and seduce her man. Zhang declared that he was innocent, claiming that it was this lewd woman who had seduced him and that his true feelings were only for Lin. This situation made Xinyuo realize that Zhang wasn't a rich playboy but rather the sugar baby of this older woman. Meanwhile, Lin asked him if he truly loved her, and he answered, yes, 1,000 times, yes. She then asked him to prove to her that this woman was guilty of seducing him. Without any hesitation, he slapped the streamer girl. That made Xinyuo ask if he was crazy enough to just slap her without any reason. He answered that she was the crazy one for clinging to him and always begging him for expensive dinners and gifts. Xinyuo, with a weak voice, stated that she was the victim, she hadn't known that he had a girlfriend. At that moment, Xingwang started heading toward the commotion, while Gao Wen was thinking that he was a bit of a hypocrite for stating that they should respect others' choices in life and then butting in. The protagonist grabbed a plate of food on his way. Zhang asked what a poor loser like him was trying to do. Xingwang shoved the plate of food in Zhang's face while telling him to go to hell. Xinyuo was deeply impressed by the protagonist's actions, and the douchebag was feeling humiliated. He then started screaming that it had gotten into his eyes and that it hurt. Lin Lin asked the protagonist who the hell he was to do something like that to her boyfriend. He answered that the two of them were shameless and that she should keep her boy toy in check. The older woman had no answer because his words were right. Zhang declared that he was going to kill Xingwang for humiliating him. But the protagonist wasn't intimidated and said that he was curious to see him try. Xinyuo was thinking that Xingwang was willing to fight for her, even after she had made fun of him. Zhang grabbed an empty bottle, broke it, and declared that the protagonist was a dead man. He then rushed at full speed toward him. But he had no chance. Xingwang subdued him with one kick to the stomach, sending the douchebag tumbling back. Xingwang then remarked that a rich woman should be able to find a boy toy with more self-control. Even dogs were more loyal than Zhang Wencheng. Lin Lin, after witnessing everything, started to think that the protagonist was quite handsome. Meanwhile, Zhang was wondering how such a small guy like Xingwang could take him down so easily. Xinyuo thanked the protagonist for helping her, but he brushed it off, saying he hadn't helped her, he just couldn't stand this kind of thing. That made her think that he had definitely helped but was too embarrassed to admit it. Zhang then demanded that Lin Lin hire someone to beat up Xingwang immediately. However, the older woman told him to shut up because she knew the protagonist was right. Lin Lin then turned to the young rich man and asked if she could add him on WeChat. A bit later, as Xingwang was leaving the restaurant, Xinyuo ran after him, asking for a moment of his time. She said that since he helped her, she would like to treat him to dinner as a thank you. Xingwang replied that there was no need for that. She then apologized for her past behavior, admitting that she hadn't treated him well before. The protagonist simply stated that he didn't help her, he had just found the situation annoying and had to step in. But now, he had to return to the company with Gao Wen to continue working. As he left, Xinyuo watched him go, realizing that he was such a humble and amazing guy. She felt foolish for not having seen his worth before. She also wondered if she still had a chance with him since he seemed to be only friends with Gao Wen. Meanwhile, the restaurant's manager was asking who would cover the damages. Lin Lin declared that it was all Zhang's fault and that he should pay for what happened. She then kicked the scumbag in the face, sending him flying. The older woman left the restaurant, passing by Xinyuo. Zhang, still in a daze, thought that his sugar mommy had abandoned him. However, he still saw a chance with Xinyuo. After all, she was a famous streamer, and he was handsome. Thinking he had a shot, he got up and started running toward her, calling her name. She panicked and moved out of the way. He ended up tripping and falling flat on his face. After that, Xinyuo also left the restaurant, warning him that she would call the police if he ever harassed her again. Later at the Duojin media office, Gao Wen mentioned that he just couldn't resist stepping in to help earlier. Xingwang responded that he had figured out exactly what kind of person Zhang Wencheng was and wanted to remove him as a threat to her. Gao Wen thanked him and stated that she owed him too many debts, she would need an entire lifetime to repay him. She then showed him the new project. The social media accounts of their models were growing, but they were limited to only streaming. To expand, they needed to jump into the short drama trend to grow their fanbase. Xingwang agreed, suggesting they start with 10 episodes to get the hang of it, and he would fund the project with his own money. Gao Wen pointed out that the company still had plenty of funds in its accounts. However, the protagonist insisted on paying out of his own pocket, saying that starting a new business was risky. She protested, concerned that he was shouldering all the risk alone. But he reassured her that money comes and goes. At that moment, a system notification was triggered, awarding him $5.55 million for his selflessness. He was truly grateful to have funded the project himself, otherwise, he would have missed out on this massive reward. Before leaving, he told Gao Wen that he needed to check on the progress of his home renovations and advised her not to overwork herself, as her health was the most important thing. Later that night, as he arrived home, he heard some noises and wondered who was making a ruckus at this hour. Mengxi was outside, desperately begging Taihe to give her another chance. However, Taihe coldly dismissed her, stating that she was nothing more than a gold digger and that he never wanted to see her again. To make his point clear, he slapped her and threatened to call the police if she didn't stop harassing him and his family. The slap was strong enough to knock her to the ground. As she sat there crying, questioning why he was treating her like this, someone suddenly offered her a napkin. To her surprise, it was Xingwang, someone she never expected to help her. Mengxi looked up at him, her expression full of disbelief. She asked if he had come to laugh at how pathetic she was. Xinguang calmly replied that he was just passing by. She then asked if he had any business in this wealthy neighborhood. The protagonist answered that his house was being renovated, and he wanted to check on the progress. She was shocked. He owned a house in this high-end area? Just to be sure she hadn't misunderstood, she asked again. Xinguang clarified that while the house was for his family, he was the one who had purchased it. This made Mengxi recall that he had more money than Taiha. But in college, he had definitely been poor. So how did he get rich in just 2 years? Were his parents actually wealthy? Emotionally, she asked if he was still mad at her. Xinguang, in turn, asked why he would be mad. She admitted that back in college, he used to chase her, but she never paid him any attention. Now, she was relieved to see that he wasn't holding a grudge. Xinguang simply responded that maybe she was misunderstanding something, keeping a distance between them. This made her declare that she only wanted to clear things up. Xinguang replied that there was no need for that. At that moment, 2 system notifications were triggered, awarding him over $1,300 for refusing to be a simp. He realized that by maintaining a Sigma mindset, he would earn more rewards from the system. Mengxi grabbed his arm, saying she had a lot to tell him and that it would be nice if he could listen to her like before. The protagonist, however, told her to keep her distance. He had only given her a napkin because they used to be classmates. There were no feelings involved. 2 more notifications popped up, awarding him almost $7,000 for abandoning his old simping ways. Xinguang then stated that after getting rejected by Taiha, Mengxi was now targeting him. It was true that he had once loved her, but those feelings no longer existed. Now, she was nothing more than a passing stranger in his life. Mengxi was speechless. Her hopes were crushed again. As Xinguang walked away, he thought that she should adopt a more humble attitude. Because he had remained so cool, the system rewarded him with another $1,300. Mengxi was left standing there, watching as yet another man slipped from her grasp, first Taiha, and now Xinguang. Sometime later, Mengxi arrived at her apartment. It was cold and empty, mirroring the feelings she was going through. She had no more energy to do anything and collapsed on the sofa. Suddenly, her phone started ringing. It was her friend Lele, who had big news. Lele praised her for having amazing luck since her backup plan had turned out to be a big shot. She then asked if Mengxi remembered that brother Wang who was spending millions on gifts for streamers. Mengxi replied that she wasn't a streamer, was exhausted, and had no time for games. Lele revealed that this brother Wang was actually Xinguang, the same Xinguang who used to chase Mengxi back in college. Shocked, Mengxi asked if she was sure, and Lele confirmed it 100%, making Mengxi drop her phone. The regret of letting such a golden opportunity slip through her fingers hit her with full force. She thought about how Xinguang had loved her for 4 years, yet she had pushed him away. She had lost her chance at a lifetime of wealth and luxury. But then, she reassured herself. She had the looks, the figure, and people even mistook her for a celebrity. If she continued to pursue Xinguang, his love for her would surely rekindle. After all, she was the most beautiful woman in the world, at least in her own eyes. Meanwhile, at Xinguang's new home, he was reflecting on his fitness. Having money was no excuse for poor health, so he decided to hire a personal trainer. A better idea, however, would be to set up a home gym and hire a private coach. The protagonist searched for highly rated fitness trainers and chose one with excellent reviews. Just then, a system notification popped up. 2 women experiencing intense regret toward the host had been detected, and the system upgrade criteria had been met. Xinguang was surprised to see that the system could be upgraded. It turned out that when someone's regret level reached 90%, he could use points to upgrade his stats. Lin Mengxi's regret level was at 80%, while Chu Xinyuo's was at 50%. Xinguang checked his stats to determine which one would benefit most from an upgrade. Since he was already planning to train, he decided to invest 5 points into strength. A free boost was always welcome. He immediately felt the effects, which surprised him. However, he now regretted paying for 20 private training sessions at the gym. The money was already spent, so there was no point in wasting it. He then shifted his focus to furnishing his home, as the renovations were finally complete. The next day, Xinguang arrived at the gym where he had paid for private lessons. He approached the receptionist, who asked how she could assist him. He informed her that he had already paid for 20 sessions with a personal trainer. She politely asked him to wait while she checked the system for his name. As he waited, Xinguang glanced around, feeling satisfied with the gym and its equipment, even if it was a bit overpriced. The receptionist soon confirmed his payment but informed him that, Since he didn't have a gym membership, he wouldn't be able to train. Surprised, he asked if membership and training were separate costs. She confirmed that they were and recommended the monthly membership plan. Xinguang was annoyed. He had already spent a fortune on the training sessions, and now they expected him to pay for a membership on top of that? When asked what type of membership he wanted, he instead requested to cancel the training sessions altogether. The receptionist was taken aback. Xinguang explained that for a price of $11,000, a gym membership should have been included. Since it wasn't, he saw no reason to continue and demanded a refund. She hesitated, saying that refunds were against company policy, but Xinguang insisted. Eventually, she admitted that she needed her boss's approval and went to fetch him. Xinguang reflected on how money should be spent wisely. He had no problem spending millions on things that mattered, but he refused to waste even a single dollar if he felt disrespected. Just then, the system rewarded him with a $1 bonus for his financial principles. At that moment, a buff man arrived, accompanied by the receptionist. He immediately recognized Xinguang and called him by name. Xinguang, in turn, recognized the man, Wang Tairan. He asked if the gym belonged to him. Wang Tairan was a 27-year-old, well-known rich playboy, one who still flirted with high school girls. A total jerk. Tairan expressed surprise that his former college classmate had signed up for 2 training sessions. Xinguang cut straight to the point, he wanted to cancel them. Tairan smirked and asked if he was really making such a fuss over just $11,000. He claimed he had only wanted to catch up with an old friend. He then mentioned that Gao Yuan also worked at the gym and proceeded to call her over. Tairan remarked that Xinguang hadn't seen Yuan in a long time but assured him that they had been talking about him recently. Moments later, a girl arrived and asked what was going on. When she spotted Xinguang, her expression shifted. She was clearly surprised to see a familiar face. Thank you for watching the 7th part of the series The Ultimate Wantless Godly Rich System. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I am happy to see that Xinyuo is back. Also, there was a big amount of slapping in this episode. Please let me know in the comments who would win in a slapping contest. Goodbye.